So, the Triumph Speed Triple S. First of all, before we get started, I must apologise for the slightly worse off video quality in this video compared to my other reviews. My main camera is currently out of action, so I've had to switch to one of my older ones for this one. So, yeah, it's not quite going to be as crystal clear. But yeah, I'm sure this video will still be useful either way. So I've got this for the weekend because my Tiger is in for its big 36,000 mile service. So I've been loaned this whilst it's getting that work done. And yeah, I was surprised at this actually because I first sat on one of these probably at the bike show or something years ago, and this like before I bought my Scrambler 865. And I thought that it was just one of them bikes that are just that little bit too big that I wouldn't be able to manage it. I'm talking about seat height wise, not engine size. Yeah, I thought it'd be just that little bit too big for me to manage. I got on fine with the Street Triple, no problem. But yeah, this I could tell was definitely taller, and I thought I would struggle with it. Actually, it's not too bad, but I think that's more because I'm used to riding bigger bikes now, because I had that Scrambler which was quite tall. I've got the Tiger now, which is sort of quite tall as well, so yeah, I'm sort of used to it. So yeah, for the shorter rider, it's if you're not used to tall bikes, it's probably not going to be good for you. It is a bit tippy-toe on one side sort of thing, and it can be a bit tricky if you've got a bit of a camber that you need to stop on. So yeah, not ideal for if you're sort of my height, 5'3". If you're more sort of 5'6" upwards, I would say, I'm sure this will be fine. Best thing to do, of course, is to go to your local dealership and have a sit on one and see how it feels. So, as with the rest of the bike then, and how it feels in general, seating position, I thought it would be a bit more aggressive and lean forward. It is a little bit, but it's not as much as I thought it would be. It's actually quite comfortable. I'm not so much of a fan of lean forward bikes, just because of my back and stuff. It gets quite achy after a while, or I'll get too much pressure on my wrists, things like that. But this one's actually not too bad. I've not really had any comfort issues on this yet, and we've done quite a few miles this weekend, going up to Crawley and stuff. And yeah, it's been so far it's been fine, even in the sort of slower town traffic, because that's where it gets you. Is when you're doing the really slow stuff and you got sort of no wind buffeting against you to sort of help support you. It's the slow stuff that's where it really takes its toll on your wrists. I've not really had that so far, so that's good. Speaking of general town riding and stuff, it's let's just take off first. Woo-hoo-hoo. That wasn't much throttle at all, and it just pew! It shifts. But no, it's the slower speed riding in town and stuff. It is a bit, you can tell it's a big bike and it wants to go. Because I think it's more to do with how it's geared and stuff, but at slower speeds, in high gears, it doesn't really like. On my Tiger, I could pootle around at 30 miles an hour in 6th gear, absolutely fine. In this, it really does have a bit of a hissy fit. So, yeah, you do have to drop down a couple of gears at the slower speeds. And the slow control as well, it's pretty much all, first gear. Otherwise, it just feels like it's just labouring that little bit too much. But again, this is geared more for higher speeds, so that's understandable. This one's fitted with cruise control, same as on the Tiger range, and it's one of the best cruise controls that I've used, the Triumph one. Works really well. Like I say, you just get to the speed you want, you press the set button to sort of turn on cruise control, and then set again to set it at the current speed that you're doing, and it will hold that until you brake or push the throttle forward. Or change gear. And the good thing as well, you can fine tune the speed that you're doing. So we're doing 70 now. If I want to just drop that down a bit, I'll click down a couple, and that's now set at 68 miles an hour, and it will just ease up a bit. There you go. It drops it down. Or if you wanted to do, you're cruising along okay at 70 or something, you needed to get around someone, you can just pull on the accelerator, go past them, roll off, and then the cruise control will return itself to the speed you had it before. And then when you brake, when you got a roundabout like this, it turns it off. And you've got self-cancelling indicators, so I just tapped it to the left there, and that's just done flee? That's done 3 flashes of the indicator and then automatically cancels itself. And if you want to keep your indicator on, you slide and hold, like I'm going to do here. So we're turning right, so slide and hold, turning right, indicator stays on. And then that will stay on until either you cancel it or you flick the other way as a left, and then that's just done 3 left flashes there as we came off the roundabout, and it's all cancelled. And you can change that in the bike menu. You can have the auto cancel off completely, so it's just normal manual indication, or yeah, automatic cancel like that, which is quite good. Nice to have the choice. And same with the likes of the Street Triple and the Tigers and the Scrambler 1200s and all that lot. With this TFT display, it's very nice. You've got different styles that you can change it to, and rider modes as well. So with this one you've got Road, Sport, Rain, and a rider customizational one. We're currently in Road mode. I will put it in Sport mode once we get through these villages. We'll see how it picks up. I mean, road mode alone, it picks up exceptionally well. We're in a speed limiting zone, so we're in a 30 zone, so I'm going to set the cruise control to 30 miles an hour. Yeah, the cruise control, it's that's the only feature I really miss not having on my Tiger, because my Tiger's the one before they introduced all the sort of fancy stuff on the like the XRT models and stuff like that. So yeah, mine's not got cruise control or rider modes and things like that. I mean, I don't mind not having the rider modes, that's fine. But yeah, the cruise control, that's something that I would really make use of, certainly on the longer trips. And it's mainly just when you're going through them average speed camera zones. I know I can set the cruise control and I haven't got to worry about keep checking my speed every 2 seconds to make sure I've not crept over the speed limit slightly. So yeah, it's brilliant thing to have. So yeah, that's one of the main things that would persuade me to get one of the newer ones with the fancy electronic features and the TFT display and all that. But otherwise, yeah, I'm really happy with my Tiger. Right, let's try sport mode, shall we? Sport mode, confirm, close throttle to confirm. There we go, we are now in sport mode. Go around this little bend. We'll ease into it, because this bike is a bit of an animal. And also I'm not too sure about all this mud on the road. Here we go then. Really does come alive in sport mode. It's just super responsive on the throttle. I've barely pushed it to anywhere near its limits, and it just feels like there's far too much of it to be used on the roads. You need a track to really enjoy this bike to its full potential. This has the Pirelli Diablo Supercorsa tyres on, so they're very, very slick. They're borderline slick tyres. They've only got a tiny bit of a tread pattern. So yeah, you can understand why I might not want to be pushing it too far on these roads that are wet and muddy and just generally horrible British winter roads. Now, speaking of the road conditions, of course, this has got cornering, traction control and ABS. So it's got plenty of technology to help keep you out of trouble. But that's not to say that you can't get yourself in trouble on this. You really can. But it's good to know them features that are there in case something catches you out. Oh, that's a lot of mud. Yep. Slippy, slippy. It turns into the corners so well. And it does feel like there is plenty of grip, even on these tyres on this road. This horrible brownish coloured road surface. It still feels like there's plenty of grip to be had, so imagine what this will be like on a dry road in the summer. Super sticky. The ABS and traction control are both switchable. You can turn them off if you want. I don't think I would like to do that personally. But the option's there if you really want to. As for the brakes, you've got twin Brembos at the front, which are of course really good at bringing the bike to a stop, as we all know. Okay, what I said earlier about it, oh no, I think it's just, yeah, it's on its kind of limit there, about it struggling in high gears at slow speed. The cruise control is on and it's holding it okay at 30 in 6th gear. But back then, just when there was a little bit of a raise in the terrain, it almost kicked it off because it was the RPMs would have dropped too low. So it can do it, but I'm getting a lot of vibration and feedback back from the engine to say, look, I need to be a gear lower, at least. Ride-by-wire throttle, of course, helps keep the slow speed stuff like this nice and smooth. Oh, this road is so bumpy. Suspension, of course, is quite stiff, being a sort of sporty roadster. So yeah, wouldn't expect this to be absorbing the bumps as well as it does on my Tiger. But I don't know, it's not totally uncomfortable, to be honest. There's a few little jolts that you get and you just think, oof, ouch, sort of thing. But yeah, overall it's not too bad. So yeah, it's a good fun machine, this, and on some of these roundabouts and stuff, I've noticed it doesn't feel like a heavy machine, being a 1050. It feels heavy, a little bit heavy when you're pushing it around, but actually it's, on the road, it's quite nimble. Doesn't feel any, okay, maybe a little bit more weighty than the Street Triple, but it's not, no, not much really, I don't think. The exhaust note is a bit of a sort of deeper burble to it than the sort of more chirpy 765 Triple. At first I thought it was quite a dull sound, but actually it's not too bad. When you get a bit higher up the rev range, it sounds pretty good. So fueling and economy. This has got, I think it's a 13 or 14 litre fuel tank, I believe it is. So before I came out on this ride, I had a fuel warning light and about 15 miles range left, so I went and filled it up. And it took about 12 litres of fuel, 12.5 litres, something like that. After filling up, the fuel range said 140 miles. So that's roughly what you can expect from a full tank on this. So I think that's everything I need to say about this. Hope you found that useful. Yeah, really good bike. If I had space in the garage for a summer fun bike, then this would be a contender for that space, certainly. Although I think I'd go more for the Street Triple, just out of personal preference. I actually prefer the looks of the Street Triple, the new Street Triple, over this. Just that little bit, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, really good bike. Quite the animal, bit of a hooligan. What's not to love, really? So, big thanks to Destination Triumph at Washington for looking after my Tiger and let me have this whilst they service it. And of course, thanks to you lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you on whatever the next one might be. Bye bye.